Hello, this is Duke Rustfield, and I'm going to display some explosion mechanics so players can see how explosions work in the Crossout game. About half the weapons in the game are explosions. Cannons, retchers, missiles, rockets, auto cannons, just a lot of things. So this is a whirlwind sitting on my vehicle here, and it does have an explosion radius. It's very small, only one square, one radius. Most cannons will be 3, rockets are 2. But how all explosions work is that they are detonated when they get within about 1.5 squares of anything. So if it's considered an object by the game engine, and this thing shoots a projectile and an object is in the way, whether it's a tree or a wall or friendly vehicle or enemy vehicle, if it gets within about this far, it's going to detonate. It could be, if it's a friendly vehicle or a tree or something, it's just going to be blocked. But you need to know that when you're shooting and when you're building. So I'm going to drive up to my own vehicle here and show you what I mean. I've got a scope on this. I'm going to get right up to it and activate the scope, and I'm going to aim right for that scope. The whirlwind does about 15 damage per shot depending on the range, and I'm going to shoot. You see the 15 was yellow. That means I'm hitting the cabin. Yellow damage means I'm hitting directly the cabin. So even though I'm aiming right at this scope perfectly, I'm not hitting. I'm actually hitting this. And that's because the shell is traveling forward. I'm aiming about here, but there's all this in between. So it comes here and it's detonating about right there, even though I'm aiming here. That's important. So if I can keep trying to shoot this thing from the front, aiming at it, and it's going to fail. I'm never going to hit it. I'm just going to keep hitting here. That's why it's good to put your weapons like this in the rear with things in front, because you'll block explosions. What you can do as an explosion user is kind of go like this. So it's a bit counterintuitive, but like I said, it detonates if you're within 1.5 squares. So if you aim up about 1.5 of these squares, it's sailing here and says nothing in the way, nothing in the way, but this is within 1.5 squares, so I'll explode right about here. And that's how you can take weapons out, even if they're, or objects out like this, when they're positioned back here. I've also got a hazardous generator sitting right on the side here. What a terrible place to put a bomb. But that's where I put it. So when you see something like that, and you should get familiar with all the modules and weapons so you know what to target. you go, hey, this idiot put his hazardous generator right in front. I'm gonna blow it up. Again, I can shoot at this quite a lot. It's only got 26 durability, so 2 shots should kill it. But I'm hitting here. The tracks and the cabin are in the way. So even if I aim like this, I'll hit the tracks. Well, I keep hitting the cabin, but I just can't hit this stupid thing, even though it's sitting right out there. I'm beating up the cabin pretty good, but that's how explosions work. What I can do to show this, if I come from the side, the cabin is no longer in the way, but if I aim kind of down here, I did hit it. Some was hitting this, so that's what an explosion is. It's blowing up in a radius, and coming from the front, it's hitting about here, and it didn't reach the generator, but because it's not, you can see it's not very far past this track. Even though it was doing a little bit of damage to the track, it was also taking damage here. So if I aimed, you can get the point, if I aimed higher, it would hit directly on this and not even spread damage to the track. So what you can kind of do, and this is, you don't have to use decor. I'm sticking exhaust pipes right here, and these are just goofy examples, but because this is an object, decor is an object, it will intercept the autocannon shot about here. As soon as it gets within 1.5, it's going to detonate, so out here somewhere. And that's, since I said the Whirlwind doesn't have a very big explosion radius, it's quite small, smallest there is, it's not going to damage the generator. Oh, sorry, when you put something on your vehicle, you have to hit test and then escape and test again for it to take effect on your vehicle out here. So I usually do that twice. So I'm going to say die generator, and what happened was it took out that pipe, and there's 1 hit and 2, and if I take it off, so a total of 3 hits to take out that generator, but it's only got 26 health, so it should be, if I aim properly, see, I didn't do it right, hit test and then escape and test again, for it to take effect out here. One, 2. So having that object out there, and you can do anything. This would cause it to detonate way out here, but then you're making your, you can theoretically do stuff like this. I don't have any more, but you don't have to use decor. Oops. You can grab huge long pieces, and what this would do, besides making it, making your teammates hate you because they're running into you and you can't get through small passages, but if guided missiles like from a Hurricane or Pyre came at you from above, they would detonate about here, and then 1 salvo would probably blow up take that out. And that is a valid tactic. This is not so valid just because it's making you too cumbersome. But yeah, that's, you can see just putting things in the back helps, and it doesn't have to be a whirlwind. It could be, this is explosion, 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 explosion. All these things are explosions. Explosion. So basically, if it's not a gun or shotgun or direct fire, it's probably explosion. But the same thing happens. I'm not gonna be able to hit with that. With this giant mammoth escape, and so I gotta. I might flip over doing this, but I really hate that scope. So I'm gonna aim for that scope with my gigantic mammoth cannon, and I missed. It's the same thing. This has a 3 explosion radius, so it's quite large, but it doesn't matter. It's doing the exact same thing as the autocannon. It's getting maybe to here or here and exploding. Doesn't get anywhere near that. So you have to aim like that or something. Oh, missed. I think I might have hit behind it. Whoa. So that was good. I took off the... Let's see, what did I do? Yeah, so I took off what it was sitting on. I didn't actually blow up a mammoth in one shot. So what happened was because the explosion radius of the mammoth is so large, not only did it hit that scope, but when it exploded, it enveloped the thing it's sitting on and the wall, the truck door it's sitting on. And when it destroyed that, anything that's anchored to it, and this mammoth only has one anchor point, it took that out. So when I'm building, I like to have my valuable objects to have at least 2 anchor points, for that simple reason, because explosions can take out, see, this isn't even 2 anchor points really, because again, if you take out that, this is still anchored to that. So you want to have it be something like that. Oops. Then you would have to take out. Oh, now it's anchored to this. So yeah, this is good. Then it would have to take out this and the engine and both of these if it was sitting on that. And that's for explosions. If they're just going to target your gun, it doesn't matter. But explosions can potentially take out multiple pieces, as you just saw. I was aiming for that scope, because I built my vehicle poorly, it took out a bunch of things. So that's what you can do in terms of building. Sometimes you don't have great options, like when dealing with something as big as this. So what you can do is stick things along the way to detonate. And I showed you that earlier. Just put anything in front, like that's sticking out. Let's see if I have any good examples. And I do it with this a bit. Oops. Here, I can just test it. So what I did when I was designing this is a sideways leg based walker with cannons. Normally the legs are, you know, to your left and right, and you're going this direction, but then they're just sticking out to the side, and that only protects you if someone's shooting from your side. In this way, they're in front of you, and it doesn't seem like a great advantage or disadvantage. It makes you a little bit more narrow, and it's easier to get around. But the big thing is what I was just talking about. Remember, you have to get a 1.5 square clearance to have a explosive round, whether it's a rocket, missile, cannon, autocannon, or whatever, hit something. So to hit those cannons sitting back there, you've got to shoot past those legs. And so the person doing it has to aim high, and it's counterintuitive. You're going to do what I did often, and just aim in the middle of them. And if you do, as these legs are going up and down, and as it's walking along, and they're moving around, and you're moving around, and it's hard to hit. If it detonates out here, it's not going to do any damage whatsoever to anything on that vehicle except the leg, and it can lose those legs, at least 2 of them, and still be somewhat functional. So this is a way to protect the guns, even though it doesn't massively look like protection. And the thing is, it doesn't hurt my aim. You know, I can aim very close to my vehicle, but because of the way explosion mechanics work, it's actually good protection. And I do the same thing, let's say on my Leviathan. You can see right here, I've got a cannon sitting behind that track and this little wall in front of the track. So that's to protect the track, and the track is to protect the gun. And in the front, I've got another track. So to hit that, you have to kind of aim. Oops, I do need help. You have to aim. I don't have my config set up for driving sideways. If I just aim like this, which looks like it's pretty centered, I'm not sure where it's hitting. It might have hit here, 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 but it didn't hit that gun, because, you know, it's back in there. It doesn't seem like it. It doesn't seem like there's physical armor in front of it, but that's the way explosion mechanics work. Here I've got all this stuff in front of them, and it's just to intercept explosions. Now, machine guns aren't like that. So if I go and machine guns and shotguns and plasma weapons don't work like that. Shotguns and machine guns are hitscan. Hitscan means, oops, they don't actually have projectiles. The server says, okay, is there anything in between? Oops, I didn't put this thing high enough. Is there anything between you and the target? And if not, you hit it. It travels instantaneously. There's no projectile that goes flying out like with rockets and missiles and cannons and autocannons. So that's pretty powerful. It's got infinite speed or instantaneous speed, however you want to phrase it. It doesn't actually travel. It has nice, it looks like it's doing something, but that's just, whatchamacallit, graphics. So if I'm way over here, as soon as I hit it, it takes damage. It's instant. So if I come back with my machine gun, I don't care about how close I am to your cabin or not, because there's nothing in the way, nothing. I have to physically be stopped by something. So this kind of stuff doesn't help against machine guns. It helps in the sense that, again, as you're moving around and they're moving around, the more stuff you have in the way, the more likely, especially when you're holding fire, you can just see how the bullets are skipping around. But if I'm out here and I shoot carefully, it doesn't matter. But so anyway, this was just a brief overview of explosion mechanics and how you can use them to protect your vehicle, aim better, and build better, and know how they work. Thanks a lot.